He got it. Post, and it's got it. Touchdown, 49.
Montana looking, throwing in the end zone. Dwight Clark. It's a madhouse at Candlestick.
Coming to you live from Section 5, Row 23. This is the Forever Faithful Podcast. It is Sunday, June 10th, 2018. This is episode 9 of the Forever Faithful Podcast. I'm JD, joined as always by 49er Tone and JP, recording this on a Sunday morning in the middle of June. You know, we're getting closer and closer each and every week to the start of the 2018 NFL season. Training camp is just around the corner. You can smell it. It's in the air. Football is coming, but it's not quite here yet. It is not close enough yet. But do not worry, Niner fans, because here on the Forever Faithful Podcast, we will come to you guys each and every week with the latest and greatest in the world of the red and gold. So this week we have a lot to get to, actually. You know, it's the dog days of summer, but there's always something happening in the NFL, and there's really, this offseason, there's always been something happening and something to talk about with your San Francisco 49ers. Now, as we get on into first down here, it's, it's not the ideal way that we wanted to start this week's podcast. We like to keep things upbeat, especially to start off the show, but this week, there's no other way to start off the show than to talk about the news that we all heard early this past week with the passing of 49ers legend Dwight Clark. We got into Dwight Clark's battle with ALS a few weeks ago and told you guys how we felt about Dwight Clark and the catch and what it meant to us, and how we felt about him dealing with ALS and that whole story. But to hear that Dwight Clark passed away, we knew it was coming, but the fact that it came as soon as it did and just out of nowhere, I don't care who you are. If you're a Niner fan, that hits you pretty hard. And, like I said, we knew it was coming, but when it actually happens, it's a whole different animal. So I figure each of us can kind of go around the room here and kind of give our thoughts on, where we were when we heard the news, how we felt, and just talk about it. Just talk our way through it, because losing Dwight Clark is losing, one of the members of, I would say, the members of the 49er Mount Rushmore, because, yeah, you have big legends throughout the history of the San Francisco 49ers, but you can't start the dynasty. You can't start what the 49ers became without the catch. So Dwight Clark is one of the most pivotal members in the history of the San Francisco 49ers, and losing him hurts. It wasn't good. I know for me, I was driving home from work that day, and I'm listening to the radio. Usually I'm on my phone, and I would see the stuff on Twitter right away. But I was listening to the radio driving home and listening to KNBR, and they said, hey, breaking news, Dwight Clark has passed away. And as I'm driving home, tears were going down my face. I'm not even going to lie. I've got into it before that I wasn't alive for the catch, but I know what it meant. I know what it meant for this team and the 49er fans and the history of this organization and how it helped shape my fanhood and what it meant to my grandfather and, just everything that revolved around Dwight Clark. And hearing that news that he passed away, it hit me. I hadn't felt like that since Bill Walsh died. When figures like that go, it hurts. And no matter who you are, if you're a Niner fan and you love this team and you love the history, it hits you. And hearing that Dwight Clark passed away, it hit me pretty hard. Like I said, tears were going down my face, and I shot both JP and Tona text saying, guys, Dwight passed. And it was a hard day, man. It was not easy. JP, what are your thoughts on the passing of Dwight, and where were you when you heard the news, and just what was your take on it that day?
Yeah, man, it was tough. It was a tough day for all 49er fans across the world. Most definitely. I was on my way home. I was actually just got home from work and walking through the door, and I looked down at my phone, and just like you said, it was a text from you saying that Dwight Clark has passed away. And it was, man, it kind of hits you, and it's crazy because like I think we were all expecting someday soon. We didn't know when, but we knew he had an ongoing battle. We just waited to get a text like that, or just like JD said, some type of update on Twitter. But yeah, it just kind of, as much as you expect it, it still is unexpected, and it kind of hits you. It's tough, man. It's definitely tough. Just like you said, it's very similar to when Bill Walsh died. I had that same feeling, that sinking feeling. You know what I mean? The fact that what he meant so much to the Niners. You know what I mean? He was, without Dwight Clark, there's no dynasty. There's no 5-time Super Bowl champions. There's no no catch. There's no catch 2. There's no catch 3. So it's definitely tough. It's definitely a tough pill to swallow. But yeah, man, it's kind of surreal. You know what I mean? And you're right, JD. It definitely shapes your fanhood. I mean, he's definitely shaped a lot of our fanhoods. I think all three of us weren't alive when the catch happened, but we definitely were told by, family members about the catch and how much the catch meant to them, and how much it meant to the city of San Francisco and the 49ers and everything. So it's definitely tough to see him go. Like I said, it was expected, but also unexpected at the same time. But I know the Niners had that. When he was at the stadium this past year, had a little tribute to him, which was nice. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see how they tribute him this upcoming season. I heard a lot of people saying that put some patches on the uniform or whatnot. I know during I think there was the last couple of days of OTAs. Almost all the Niners coaching staffs had the 87 jersey, shirt jerseys on. So it's tough, man, but I'm sure we can represent him the best way we can this season, and hopefully we can take it home. So, Tone, what do you think? I know it's a little bit somber atmosphere here on the podcast, but let me know your thoughts on Dwight Clark's passing.
Yeah, when I heard the news, it was like a punch in the stomach. I was at work, and it was just one of those moments, just like the Bill Walsh thing, and I took it real hard, just like when Bill Walsh passed away. But these are the moments because these are such special people inside our organization and even outside as a human beings. Very special, and we care for them as 49er fans, fans of football, but we care about these individuals and what they mean to us. And you remember these moments, these unfortunate news when you hear it. And so, like I was saying, I was at work, and I didn't see anything on my phone because I didn't check in, Twitter or anything at that moment. But I went to the car to grab something, and I turned the key on, and of course my radio is always on 95.7, or it's on KNBR. It was on 95.7 at that time, and I put the key in, and was listening to Damon Bruce, and he was talking about the whole Warriors, and I was getting excited for that, and Damon Bruce interrupted, said he had breaking news. And then I got JD's text, and it's just very sad, man. And this was a big loss for this organization. It's a big loss for the Bay Area, the San Francisco community. He meant everything to this fan base for multiple generations, and he's his presence is, him being gone. It's gonna be very hard to move forward. With Dwight, the catch, what it meant. I mean, we weren't around, but we seen the aftershocks because of it. I'm sure all three of us watched that game countless times, seen how special that moment was, and what it did for our city and our team for the next 20 years. Dwight was a great man, great person, very friendly, and he was a hell of a football player. I believe he was drafted in the 10th round. We don't even have 10 rounds in the draft no more. So he would have been undrafted nowadays. And he still put up the numbers he did. Dwight Clark will always have a special place in my heart and in every 49er fan's heart. And generations to come will know who Dwight is, and that legacy will carry on. So very sad way to start the podcast, but this is the biggest 49er news we have. And it's very fitting that, we talk about Dwight first, because he means so much to all three of us, all the faithful that's listening. I mean, just words can't describe the pain that every 49er fan is feeling right now. So, and especially how quick the disease got to him, just quickly announcing it just deteriorated. And like you said, JP, with the ceremony last year, Dwight Clark Day, his speech, man, you seen how bad it was getting, and it got bad real quick. It's just terrible, man. So rest in peace, Dwight. You'll always be in our hearts. We love you. Thoughts and prayers and condolences to your family, the Clark family, and the entire 49er family, because we're all one family. We'll always love you, Dwight.
There you have it, 49er fans. Just our thoughts on the passing of the great Dwight Clark. And I think it would be fitting if we closed out this first down with a moment of silence for number 87, and then we will pick it back up with second down. All right, Niner fans, second down. Earlier this week, former 49ers wide receiver Terrell Owens, the oh-so-controversial Terrell Owens, put out a statement on his social media that he's not going to be accepting the invite from the Pro Football Hall of Fame to the upcoming Hall of Fame induction ceremony in Canton, Ohio this August. It's an unprecedented move. Nobody has done that in the history of the Hall and the induction ceremony. After years, a few years of being snubbed, in Owens' words, by the Pro Football Hall of Fame, he felt he deserved to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, and that's a whole different, topic. But after being snubbed for a few years, you would think that Owens would be excited to go into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and he would want to, get up there on this stage and tell all the naysayers that, hey, you tried to keep me out, but here I am. But in typical Terrell Owens fashion, you have to expect the unexpected with T.O., and he's not, as of this moment, going to be attending the Hall of Fame ceremony. You know, if you listen to this podcast, you know that I'm a big T.O. guy. I have defended T.O. throughout his career. I have understood the reasoning behind some of the things that he's done throughout his career. I've justified certain things in my own mind, and I've had T.O.'s back on a lot of his moments throughout his career that people criticized him for. But I'll tell you this. This is the first time I have ever truly just disagreed and felt just angry at T.O. for what he's doing. You go to the Hall of Fame, point blank, period. You do not disrespect the Pro Football Hall of Fame. You don't disrespect all the players that came before you and paved the way for you to have that moment. You don't disrespect all the other Hall of Famers. You don't disrespect the fans that supported you throughout your career. You don't disrespect your family, all the people that helped you get there. That moment is not just about T.O. That moment's about everybody that helped make Terrell Owens into T.O. because those are two different people. And T.O. is letting this get to his head in typical T.O. fashion. And I'm not a fan of it. I'll put it on record. I'm a big Terrell Owens guy. You guys know that. But I do not agree with this. And Tone, I know you're going to have a strong opinion on this one. So let's hear what you have to say.
All right. Well, I'm going to say this for all the listeners out there right now. Now, what JD just said is something that I didn't even expect JD to say. And for all the listeners out there, when we do this podcast, we don't know exactly where all our opinions are going to be. So it's the element of surprise when we do record this podcast, trying to give you just our true emotions and thoughts on this podcast, 100% real. So this is not rehearsed or anything. So for JD to say that just totally blew my mind. But I agree with him. And here's my reasoning. Now, T.O. can do what T.O. wants to do. This is America. If he doesn't want to show, he doesn't want to show. But to me, there's two things with T.O.'s mindset on here. One, this is T.O. being T.O. Okay? All he's doing is basically making himself bigger than the Hall of Fame. And that's fine. Whatever you have to expect this from him. The second thing is this whole mind process of, I should have been a first ballot Hall of Fame. Excuse me, there's no special wing, section, plaque, a bust, whatever, for a first ballot Hall of Fame. Once you're in the Hall of Fame, you're in the Hall of Fame. And he deservedly should be in the Hall of Fame. In my opinion, he should have been a first ballot in the sense that he didn't have to wait 2-3 years. But it doesn't matter. You're in the Hall of Fame. And you got people that do not want to put you in the Hall of Fame. And you got fellow Hall of Famers going to bat for you, convincing these people to vote you in because they want you in the same place that they are in, and you go ahead and basically dismiss it by saying you're not showing up. You don't want to show up. You're going to celebrate somewhere else because you felt disrespected. Well, T.O., you're disrespecting those who went to bat for you. What about all the T.O. fans that already booked hotels, plane tickets, rental cars to come see you? I mean, this is just totally himself being a me first person. This is T.O. being T.O., nothing surprising. He's bigger than the Hall of Fame. That's that in his mind, he's bigger than the Hall of Fame. It's all about T.O. also, this is more disrespect to the fellow inductees going in this year because all the news is about T.O., not the Hall of Fame class of 2018. So it's typical. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the last minute T.O. decided to show up. I wouldn't be. I don't think he is because I think the move he's doing, everybody's going to, even on Hall of Fame Day, everybody's going to be talking about how T.O.'s not there. But it wouldn't surprise me either if he did show up at the very last minute, you know, and, just basically T.O. grabbing the headlines. It's I'm not surprised. So T.O. can do whatever he wants to do. It is what it is. It's just, I just feel for those that is disrespectful towards people that went to bat for him, people that stuck by his side, people that defended him. And I'm not talking about fans. I'm talking about actual Hall of Famers that wanted T.O. in the same place that T.O., that they're in. They wanted him as a Hall of Fame teammate. It's just crazy to me. But, that's T.O. That's Owens, man. That's Owens. So, congrats for the Hall of Fame, but it is what it is, man. T.O. can fine, don't show up. Maybe I'll actually watch the entire Hall of Fame show since he's not there.
Hey, you know what's funny, man? It's T.O. And you know what? I'm telling you straight up, I'm not surprised. T.O. his whole career has done what T.O. wants to do. You know what I mean? If he wants to pull a Sharpie out of his sock and sign a football, Terrell Owens is going to do that. You know what I mean? It's just Terrell Owens. The fact that JD says that he's pissed off with Terrell Owens, like, man, are you sure this is JD on this pod? I don't think it's JD. It's somebody else, but no, it's just crazy, man. I mean, I'm not too surprised by this just because of the simple fact it's Terrell Owens. But it's very classless, man. I mean, just like Tone, you were saying, it's not just, Terrell Owens versus the Hall of Fame or the people who inducted him, who he thinks he got snubbed. It's the fans that are coming to see him. It's the people who came before him. You know what I mean? That made this possible. It's all that type of stuff. And it's just, it's classless, man. It's very, very classless. It's tasteless. And it's disappointing. One thing I have to disagree with you, Tone. If he was there, I would definitely watch it because his speech, Terrell Owens' speech, if he would show up, or maybe he still will, hopefully, I don't know. But his speech would have been top 5 best speech, Hall of Fame inductee speech of all time.
Yeah, I know. I would have watched it. I will watch it. I always watch the Hall of Fame. I guess it's more my just anger. It's more my anger. I was speaking out of emotion. I would definitely watch his induction, even though I don't view him as a 49er. I would still watch it. You're right. His speech would be entertaining. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, totally agree. It's always entertaining to see, a flashy person like that come out and and give an entertaining speech. But one thing I do want to touch on is Teddy Bruschi made he went off on T.O. on Twitter. And one thing that he said that really stood out to me, which, I think Terrell Owens should take some note. He said, it's not about how you got there. It's that you made it there. So, you know what I mean? So you just have to, Terrell Owens really needs to realize the people that came before him and whatnot. I think this is really disrespectful to the rest of the people that are getting inducted this year. Just like you said, Tone, it's going to be taken away from their, limelight. Everyone's going to be asking where Terrell Owens is. So am I surprised? No. I'm very disappointed in T.O. and it's very classless on my opinion. But yeah, that's my thoughts.
I am upset with Terrell Owens for his stance. I wanted to see his speech just like everybody else. And there was a point in time where I was saving up money because I was going to make the trip out to Canton. I wanted to see T.O. get inducted. And then I changed my mind. I said, I'll just enjoy it at home. So I didn't make any reservations, spend any money, whatnot. But I was going to, and I'm glad I didn't. So I am upset with T.O. just for my own reasons. I wanted to see him, on that stage. And who knows? There's plenty of time between now and then, and there's plenty of former players and Hall of Famers that are reaching out to him, trying to change his mind and just talk some sense into him. So who knows? T.O. could very well end up on that stage in Canton in about 2 months. But we will wait and see. And for all intents and purposes, we're treating this right now as if he's not going to be there. So, but I will say one thing. I am upset with T.O. for what he's doing, but I can also kind of see the other side of the coin. I try and look at things objectively, and I'm trying to look at the reasoning behind why T.O. doesn't want to go. And I can understand it. You have voters who have, snubbed him for the last 3 years. I know there's plenty of players that have waited longer. Chris Carter, for one, had to wait 6 years, I believe it was, something like that. But T.O., in my opinion, is a first ballot Hall of Famer. If you just look at the numbers, T.O. is a first ballot Hall of Famer, and I can't really, I don't really think you can argue that point. I mean, if you look at the list of first ballot Hall of Famers at wide receiver that have made the Hall of Fame, you have Jerry Rice, Lance Allworth, Raymond Berry, Steve Largent, Paul Warfield, and this year, Randy Moss. Looking at that list, the only two that you can make a case for that are better than T.O., I mean, obviously Jerry Rice is better than T.O., we know this. And you can debate Randy Moss, but the other four, there's no way that those guys are better than Terrell Owens. And as far as my opinion, I put T.O. ahead of Randy Moss. They both played the same amount of years in the league. T.O. has more receptions, more yards, and only 3 less touchdowns. Yet, Randy Moss is a first ballot Hall of Famer? I don't agree with that. So I can see why T.O. feels slighted. And now you have writers coming out saying that, hey, if I would have knew that T.O. was going to decline the invite to the Hall of Fame, I wouldn't have voted him in. And that right there tells you the flaw behind the voting system that the Pro Football Writers of America have in voting in these NFL players into the Hall of Fame, because you're letting your own personal bias and your own personal feelings towards T.O. get in the way. You're voting on a player based on what he accomplished in his career, what he did on the field. And you have people saying now, oh, if I knew he wasn't going to go, I wouldn't have voted him in. That has nothing to do with what you're voting on. You're voting on an NFL player on a football field, not what he's done after his career. That's not what you're voting on. That's not what the whole Pro Football Hall of Fame is about. It's not the Pro Person Hall of Fame. It's not the Pro Citizen Hall of Fame. It's the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And before people want to make the argument that Terrell Owens was a bad teammate and he threw players under the bus and on all the rhetoric that you hear, don't you think T.O. is not the only bad teammate in the Hall of Fame? There's plenty of guys in the Hall of Fame that are quote-unquote bad people, bad guys. Warren Sapp stomped out his girlfriend's face with a flip-flop and left a Jordan imprint on her cheek. Ray Lewis, who's going into the Hall of Fame this year, got away with murder. I mean, there are plenty of guys in the Hall of Fame that are not quote-unquote good dudes. So I don't want to hear the whole bad teammate excuse, the whole rhetoric that you hear. T.O. on the football field, statistically, and if you just watch his career, is the second greatest receiver of all time, and I stand by that. So to slight him the way that you have because of their own personal agendas and personal bias against him, it shows the flaw in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So I can understand why T.O. doesn't want to go. I'm anxious to see what he does for his own celebration. I'm anxious to see what he says. He's going to throw a lot of people under the bus, I'm sure, and I'm here for it. I'm going to have some popcorn ready, and I'm going to be paying attention. And if anyone's noticed T.O.'s Twitter account the last 24 hours or so, he's been getting into it with Jason Whitlock, who is a sports writer / TV personality in the sports media world, who is often controversial for his opinions. And he, for one, is against T.O. getting into the Hall of Fame because of the bad teammate, the bad teammate vibe. And T.O. and Jason Whitlock have been going back and forth on Twitter. And T.O. told Jason Whitlock, hey, if you lose 81 pounds by August 4th, I'll attend the Hall of Fame ceremony. And for those who don't know, Jason Whitlock's a big dude who's probably never really done much of anything athletic in his life. So that's pretty funny to hear T.O. and Whitlock kind of go back and forth. And then T.O. dragged Michael Irvin into it because Michael Irvin had some things to say about T.O. and read private text messages that T.O. sent Irvin over the last few days. Michael Irvin read these text messages on the air on NFL Network and was not supposed to. That was not information or things that T.O. said that he wanted to have out. And so Michael Irvin read those over the air, and now Michael Irvin and Terrell Owens are not getting along. T.O. told Jason Whitlock that, hey, if you guys want to talk about it, you can bring your Uncle Tom friend Michael Irvin, and we can eat some donuts and drink some low-fat milk. And T.O. said that he'll bring some quote-unquote powdered donuts for Michael Irvin. For those who don't know, Michael Irvin is a former user of cocaine, so that's where that reference comes from. But there's a storm going around. I mean, it's getting big and getting crazy with the T.O. news, and he's not happy about the way things went, and he's going to let you know about it.
Hey, JD, just quick question on the T.O. Michael Irvin reference. Did he really call Michael Irvin and Uncle Tom?
He called Michael Irvin and Uncle Tom, and I believe Whitlock too. Let me take a look while you have your thoughts on that.
Okay, so yeah, that to me that's totally disrespectful. As a person who is mixed and is African American, you don't say that to another black man. Very disrespectful. Just like Muhammad Ali, you called that to Joe Frazier, and those were crazier times back then. You don't say that, man. That's disrespectful. That is probably the worst thing to say to a fellow African American, man. That's disrespectful, T.O. You shouldn't have done that. But JD, to your point though, I agree with you. Absolutely agree with you. It should be based on the voting should be based on what you do on the field. Absolutely. Bad teammate, yeah. T.O. is a bad teammate. He's proving it right now. Doesn't matter. Should be in the Hall of Fame. But my point is this whole first ballot, you gave off a list, and I agree, yeah, he's better than most of those names. But my thing is this. We need to get this mythical first ballot Hall of Fame thing out of our heads, because there's no special section. There's no special bus. There's no special recognition. Once you're voted into the Hall of Fame, you're in the same building as everyone else. First ballot just means you got in your first year of eligibility. But that shouldn't matter. It doesn't matter. Now, do I think he should have got in 2-3 years ago? Yeah, I agree. The writers, the voters did him wrong. But he's in. And the reason he's in, you got all these writers and voters not wanting to put him in, saying that he wouldn't have voted him in if they would have known that. But you have fellow Hall of Famers that's already in Canton, went to bat for him. Basically gave all the reasons why they need to vote him in. And this is how T.O. repays them. T.O. has a vengeance on showing the Hall of Fame up. But think about the fellow Hall of Famers that helped get you in. And now you're just going to not show up? So this whole first ballot thing, he's got to get that off his mind. It's like, not changing sports, but it's like when a boxer comes up and he's fighting on ESPN, then fights on HBO and Showtime. Then he gets his first pay-per-view fight. These boxers think they make it. No. because you're going to get your money regardless if it's pay-per-view or not. Doesn't matter. It's just like the first ballot. You're not going to – you're in the Hall of Fame. You're wearing that gold jacket. You were probably going to be the headline of this Hall of Fame anyway. I mean, it's you got to get that first ballot. Just because someone else got in their first year and you didn't, oh well, you're in. Soak this moment up. Stop trying to make yourself bigger and show up these writers. Have this vengeful attitude. Just soak it all in, T.O. I just don't get it. T.O. always gets in his own way. And I'm not saying he's a bad person. Not saying he's not a great football player, an all-time great football player at that, and should have got in his first year. But come on, man. There's no special section for first ballots. They need to get that off their head. Just like being a pay-per-view fighter doesn't mean anything. You're still getting money. And, it's just, I don't know. I just, T.O. needs to rethink that, because it's this mythical title of first ballot, it doesn't mean nothing. It's meaningless.
Yeah, it's getting kind of ugly. And if you have a few minutes, I suggest that you check out Terrell Owens' Twitter. It's getting pretty crazy. JP, if you have any final thoughts on this, let us know. Otherwise, I think we can kind of wrap up this one and move on.
No, I just want to add, man, just like I said, what Teddy Bruschi touched on, man, it's not how you made it to the Hall of Fame. It's that you made it to the Hall of Fame. It's not that it doesn't matter if you're a first ballot, second ballot, 15th ballot, you're in the Hall of Fame. And that's just point blank period. You're among the most elite of players. So it doesn't matter how you got there, you're there. So that's my last thoughts on it, JD.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of get the first ballot thing. It's if you're a first ballot Hall of Famer, your first year of eligibility, it's a slam dunk. Like, hey, you were one of the best ever, and T.O. is one of the best ever. And he's based on the numbers alone, he should have been a Hall of Famer. And if you look at the list of the other wide receivers that were first ballot Hall of Famers, like I mentioned earlier, T.O. is better than the majority of them, with the exception to the GOAT, Jerry Rice. But with that, I'm sure we'll get into the whole T.O. thing, as more things develop and as the closer we get to the Hall of Fame. So with that, we're going to wrap up second down and move on into third down. All right, Niner fans, third down is upon us, and another big news event happened over the weekend here. A big rumor out of Boston, Massachusetts, that the New England Patriots and Coach Bill Belichick / General Manager Bill Belichick we're looking to trade Robert Gronkowski. They're acclaimed tight end. They're big tight end. And your 49ers were on the short list of teams that appeared to have an offer on the table for big number 87. The 49ers and the Tennessee Titans were reported to have offers on the table for Rob Gronkowski, as reported by Adam Kirkjian, sports writer formerly of the Boston Herald or the Boston Globe. And here's how the event went down. Kirkjian wrote on his Twitter that from multiple sources, he heard that Bill Belichick wanted to trade Rob Gronkowski. Offers were on the table from both the Titans and 49ers. Belichick and Patriots owner Robert Kraft had a closed-door meeting to discuss everything, and Tom Brady threatened to retire if the deal went through. So Robert Kraft nixed the deal. A lot of news. A lot of news coming out of Boston there. That's an interesting thing. We all know that the deal with Bill Belichick and the Patriots and trading Jimmy Garoppolo and the rumors that Belichick is trying to kind of sabotage everything over there on his way out in New England. So hearing news that he wanted to trade Gronk doesn't really surprise me, but seeing the Niners interested, we all know the relationship between John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan and Bill Belichick. It definitely caught my eye. As of now, it doesn't look like there's any substance to it. It doesn't look like it's going to happen because Robert Kraft shot down the deal because Tom Brady was threatening to retire if Gronk got traded. But it's still interesting. So, JP, what are your thoughts on that whole development there?
Well, my personal thoughts, I think this whole thing is fabricated. It's a big lie. It's the off season. People try to come up with stories, especially with a big franchise like the New England Patriots, and they've had a little downfall lately. So I think people just try to, kick them while they're down. So, but this is my outlook on it. I know. So it all started on Reddit. I'm not sure if a lot of our listeners know what Reddit is. It's kind of like a site where a lot of people talk about sports and whatnot, posts. And I guess one user on Reddit about a week or two ago said that Julian Edelman is on PEDs. I don't know if he had knowledge or whatnot, but he put that out there a couple weeks ago. And as you know, late last week, he came out and sure as shit, he got popped for steroids. So this same Reddit user came out and the next day and basically took credit for it, said, hey, I told you guys he was on PEDs. I have another big story. Gronkowski is going to get traded. And next thing you know, every media outlet, everybody on Twitter just starts, firing it up, creating articles. Hey, Gronkowski is going to get traded today. There's a deal on the table, this and that. And media people just start running with it. For a good, I would say about 12 hours, there's just nonstop articles coming through about Gronk being traded today. Today's going to be the day. He's good as gone. There's sources telling me this. There's sources telling me that. And then this Reddit user came out after this whole thing, after some people in the higher ups with good sources, they went to the horse's mouth, to the Patriots PR, and the Patriots PR people said this is absolutely false. There's nothing happening. Gronk isn't going anywhere, and this is all fake news, pretty much. After that happened, this Reddit user came out and basically said he fabricated everything. He said he took a shot in the dark with Julian Edelman, saying that he was on PEDs a couple weeks ago, and sure as shit, it came out, and it was true. After that happened, he, got a little ego behind him and just started to throw more shots in the dark. And this one missed big time. So, hey, I'm not saying this isn't true. I'm not. Hey, this could happen. There's a lot of stuff that was going on with this Patriots organization. Tom Brady and his personal trainer getting kicked out, and them losing the Super Bowl, and there's drama and the whole Jimmy Garoppolo thing. He's being traded. So there's obviously some type of disconnect going on in that front office, in the locker room as well. I mean, I'm not sure if you guys heard. But Marsh, one of our defensive ends that came over from the Patriots, he said that, he's glad to be a 49er because when he was with the Patriots, it was just strict. It's like there's no fun. You go to work. It's like a horrible office job with a horrible boss. It's basically what about, summarizing what he said. He said it was a horrible time in New York. So, New England. So there's one player, maybe a lot of people are different, and another drama surrounding the Patriots was, the whole benching of the cornerback, Malcolm Butler, that's his name, during the Super Bowl. So there's definitely something going on in the organization. Trading Gronk and, Brady threatening to retire. Maybe it's true, but I don't know if I can really believe that with this whole thing going on. So that's my thoughts on it. I'm not sure if Gronk does come to the Niners, man, that'd be great. I mean, another big target for Jimmy. I'm sure he's knows everything about Gronk. He's learned from Tom. Man, we'll be New England Patriots West. We're gonna change our team name, but no, I think this is all fabricated. I don't think Gronk is going anywhere. Do I think there's definitely some issues going on in the Patriots locker room? 100% I do. But Gronk being traded, I'm not sure if that's the case. So, Tone, let me know your thoughts on on Gronk being traded, if any?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how to really take this news or whatever you want to call it, rumor. Um, I don't know what to believe. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe it did happen. Maybe it didn't. But I tell you what, though, the New England Patriots are definitely. There is definitely some disarray in that front office and behind the scenes. Um, there are lines divided. Uh, I wouldn't say cliques, but people have sided with certain people in that organization, and yeah, that's not good for that organization for the coming future. And we're gonna see if it gets any worse. Um, but you know, as far as this news, Gronk, I would love to have Gronk. Gronk, please come. I would love to have Gronk. Hell yeah. But is it gonna happen? No. And is this rumor true? Who knows? But it is kind of interesting, especially in the off season, to hear stuff like this. But yeah, I just don't see it, man. Maybe some of these Reddit posts, like you said, JP, maybe these Reddit posts, maybe someone we should pay attention to, maybe someone we shouldn't. But that's funny. You took a shot in the dark on that one. That's pretty funny. But no, I just it's cool off season news rumors, but it's not. Who knows, man? Who knows? But we're not getting them. Um, and I think honestly, I think we're set with what we have anyway. We'll see what Kittle can bring this coming year.
You know, obviously Rob Gronkowski would be a welcome addition to this 49ers roster. He and George Kittle would make one hell of a two tight end set. Gronk would definitely help in the red zone and, would be a familiar target for Jimmy G. But, here on the Forever Faithful podcast, we're going to operate under the assumption that it's not going to happen. But in the off season, it's always fun to hear the rumors and speculate on them. So we wanted to bring that news to you guys. And with that, we are going to wrap up third down and get into our fourth and final segment of the episode. Here we are, guys. Fourth down. With the season fast approaching, training camp right around the corner, I'm sure they're going to do some sort of open invite training camp practices at Levi Stadium like they've done in the past. I know I'll be there. Tone, I'm sure you'll be there. But the games are fast approaching, and if you're a Niner fan, you've taken a look at the schedule and you've started to brainstorm. What games do I want to go to? Which ones look appealing? When you're looking at your own schedule for work and family and the holidays and whatnot, and you're trying to figure out what games am I going to go to this year. There's a lot of games on this schedule, 5 primetime games, 3 of them at home. The Niners are a big deal this year, and if you are a Niner fan, you definitely need to make your way out to Levi Stadium this year. I know I will be. But I figure we can go around the room and talk about the games that kind of stand out to us that we think we're going to attend and why. So, JP, I know you're not in the Bay Area. I know you're living out there in Las Vegas, Nevada, gambling and doing all the other fun stuff you do out there in Las Vegas. But if you're going to come out to Levi's this year, man, what games are you looking at?
Yeah, man, nothing but hookers and blow out here in Vegas. But no. But no, games that I was looking at. There's a few. There's 3 in particular that caught my eye. One is Week 7 versus Sunday Night Football versus the Rams. I mean, this is going to be a rivalry from here on out. 2 great quarterbacks, 2 great offenses, and the 2 young, talented, offensive-minded coaches. It's just these games from here on out. I mean, you saw a little bit last year on what these 2 teams can do. This game is just going to be awesome, and I can't wait to see it. That's definitely one of the games that I definitely want to go to, and especially primetime in Levi's. Oof, man, that's definitely one I want to go to. Another one, I was going to say the Raiders one, Battle of the Bay, Thursday night. Don't get me wrong, that's a game that really catches my eye. But I think that another game that really piques my interest is this New York Giants game. I think that it's Monday Night Football, Week 10. I think the Giants are going to be, one of the up and coming teams this year. You got Odell coming back, who's arguably one of the best wide receivers. You got that beast rookie in the backfield. If Eli can step up and not be an old man and go back to what he was, that he'll be great. I think the Giants are going to be flying under a lot of people's radar, and I think that'll be a great game. Another primetime game here in Levi Stadium. That's just going to be epic to epic proportions. So I think that will be pretty awesome. And the last game is going to be Week 15 versus the Seahawks. Every year, I always look forward to the Seahawks games. We've had a little bit of a rivalry here and there. I think the rivalry in the past has kind of drifted off for the dominance of the Seahawks, but I think this year is when it switches. This is the year that we are going to take over the rivalry like the Seahawks were doing. And of course, who doesn't want to see Sherman go up against his old team? That's going to be amazing. And I can't wait. So those are the three games that I'd love to see. If I have to pick one of them out of the three, it'll definitely be the Rams game. I'm telling you guys, you hear it here first. For the next 5 years or so, this is going to be the big primetime rivalry in the NFL. So those are three games that I definitely want to check out. Tone, what about you, man? Which ones you going to?
Well, I will say the Ram game is what I'm looking forward to. Was it Sunday night, right? I believe it's Sunday night. I mean that's big. That's big time, prime time right there. And also, like you said, the Giants Monday night. I was looking forward to that. But I'm looking forward to the opener. It's always good to give 49er football back the first time. I believe it's in week 2. First time you're at the stadium for a regular season game. I mean, it's always a fun atmosphere. But I'm really looking forward to, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it. I'm trying to see if I can, but Monday Night Football in October, Lambeau Field. I want to go. I don't know if I can yet, but I'm trying. If not, I definitely would love to go to LA, see the Niners down there. And then also for the preseason, we got the Cowboys. I know it's preseason, but it's always fun to see the Niners go up against the Cowboys, see the blue and silver versus the red and gold. So I'm looking forward to a whole bunch of games. Looking forward to seeing everybody at the tailgate. Just real quick, wanted to shout out Empire Row. If you guys, anybody, JD and JP knows, if anybody listening want to come hang out at one of the best tailgates you ever gonna be at in any sport, come to Empire Row, Green Lot, Pole 20. You got everybody there, Jay, Tone, Will, Jorge, props to Abel, props to all you guys, man. Shout out to y'all. I know y'all listening as well. But come by Red Zone, La Clica, everybody, Empire Row. That's where it's at, man. So any game you listeners come check us out, man. Come have a good time with us, man. We're always having a great time. But yeah, as far as the games, those the Monday Night Football, the Rams is the one that's on my mind, the most important one, and of course, the opener. And and everybody's gonna say the Battle of the Bay as well, but that's already a given, and especially how much the tickets are, that's already given. Everybody's excited for that, but yeah, man, I will go with the Rams and the opener. Those are the two for me.
Like you said, everyone's looking at the Battle of the Bay, Niners Raiders, Week 9 on Thursday Night Football. And I'll be honest with you, that's the main game that I want to go to. I mean, it's the final battle of the Bay. It's bragging rights forever in the Bay Area. And if you live up here in Northern California, you know your fair share of Raider fans. So that game is huge. It's a historic game in the Bay Area because it's the final battle of the Bay. And you can best believe that will be the one game I will be in attendance at this year, no matter what. I don't care if I have to sell a kidney, and keep in mind, I only have one kidney, so I'm going to be at that game no matter what. JP, you mentioned that Giants game, week 10, right after. And that's the other game I'm looking at. Saquon Barkley, Odell Beckham, Sterling Shepard, Evan Ingram. You know, if they can just keep Eli upright, the Giants are going to be a bounce-back team this year, absolutely. And that game is going to be fun. I think that game's going to be, you know, a really important game on our schedule. I think that's going to be two of the teams in the NFC that are going to be kind of fighting for a wild card spot, and that game could have huge implications when it's all said and done. And of course, the Niners-Giants rivalry over the years, you know, it's going to be a good game. Those are the two main games that I'm looking forward to the most. Of course, you know, all the other games are great, but those are the two I'm looking at, and I will be at the Battle of the Bay no matter what. Those tickets you're looking at spending at least $200 for nosebleed tickets. You know, you're probably going to end up spending $250, $300 for nosebleed tickets. It's pretty expensive, pretty crazy, but it'll be worth it. I think it'll be fun. I'm curious to see the turnout and kind of how things go, especially once the alcohol gets flowing. But it's going to be a fun night, and if you're in the Bay Area, that's going to be the place to be. I already have the time off from work, so I will be there that Thursday and have that the day after off as well. So it's going to be a fun time. I can't wait for football to get here, and the schedule has plenty of games that are worthy of attending. And if you're a Niner fan, after these last few years that we've had, that's a big change, and it's a big deal, and it's fun to talk about what games you want to go to this year, because for the first time in a long time, you got a lot of games to choose from. And we can't wait here on the Forever Faithful podcast. Football is coming. It's getting closer and closer each and every week. Like I said earlier, you can smell it. It's in the air. The weather is changing, and, you know, it's here. Football season is here. And on the Forever Faithful podcast, of course, we can't wait. So, JP, Tone, if you guys have any final words, I think we can go ahead and wrap up episode 9.
Yeah, man. Great podcast as always. You know, thank you guys. And also thank you to the listeners, to the followers. Please go ahead and keep supporting. You know, share, like, comment, subscribe, rate, give 5-star reviews on iTunes, whatever you can do to support, retweet, repost, whatever you can do to get the word out. You know, we're here for you guys. We're the faithful. You're the faithful. And this is a connection to you guys. We just want to basically give you all the 49er content that you want, that you deserve. And, yeah, they just thank you for supporting. And also, I got a update on that our podcast is now available on Breaker. So, not exactly sure how Breaker is, but I will be doing my research right after and see, you know, our podcast on there. Get the link for you guys. And but yeah, man, great podcast. Thank you guys, and you know, 49ers for life.
Yeah, man, great podcast. Enjoyed it. If keep supporting everybody. Thanks for all the listeners. If y'all definitely have questions, just send it to us. We'll answer it here live on the podcast. So just keep supporting, and we're gonna keep making these podcasts, y'all. JD, send us out, man.
You can find us on social media at facebook.com/foreverfaithfulpodcast or on Twitter at twitter.com/ffpodcast49. Be sure to, you know, follow, interact, socialize. you're a part of the show just as much as we are. So without you guys, we wouldn't have anybody listening to the show, and it wouldn't be much of a show. So we encourage everybody to reach out to us on social media and interact on all those various platforms. So with that, episode 9 is in the books, and I'm sure we will be back next week with even more to talk about. I mean, this offseason has been crazy. There is constant news and notes from the Bay Area across the entire NFL. So with that, I'm JD. That was JP and 49er Tone, and this is the Forever Faithful podcast, where, as always, it's one team, one family, and one goal.